Welcome to Be Bold Branding. Today's guest is one of our brand-faced real estate agents from Gainesville, Florida. He works with clients in residential, commercial, and investments, and his brand is all about taking action. I'm Tanya Eberhardt, founder of BrandFace, where we help business stars differentiate themselves, and we do that through personal branding. We're the only comprehensive personal brand building system across the globe.
And I'm Michael Carr. I'm the COO of BrandFace. I was a client before I became a partner in the company, and we do Be Bold Branding podcast to help people take the fear out of putting themselves out there. We've got a fantastic guest for you here today. We'd like to welcome Brian Owen to the podcast. Hello, Brian.
Hello. Thanks for having me. I'm happy to be here.
So, Brian, tell us why and how you got into real estate in the first place.
I've always liked real estate. I knew as a young kid that just listening to my dad and just listening to all kinds of things growing up, that most wealthy people had some kind of ties to real estate. Even if they were a CEO or business owner, entrepreneur, you know, a lot of their wealth and a lot of their holdings came through real estate. So I just always had a passion and a knack for wanting to learn about real estate. In 2004, I started flipping houses. I found a person that was doing it, and he brought me in, taught me everything from the ground level on how to flip houses and how to find houses, analyze deals. And then in 2006, I hopped into the corporate world, and that was great. I worked for a real estate title search company, and we saw a tremendous amount of growth in the 10 years that I was there. Then we sold out to a Fortune 500 company. And then at that point, my wife was pregnant with our twin boys, who are now 3.5 years old, Sam and Max. And I just told her that, I said, hey, you know, I can go back and stay in the corporate world, but I'm going to be working my tail off for somebody else. And, you know, my schedule is not going to be as flexible if I get back to being self-employed. And so that's where I decided to get my real estate license to, you know, one, help people buy and sell real estate, whether it's residential, commercial, or other investors, but also to help me find more deals myself. So that is how I got my real estate license.
Yeah, a scary moment, no doubt, because there's nothing like saying to your wife who's just found out you guys are expecting twins, hey, honey, I'm going to be self-employed.
Yeah, and you only get paid when you close something. There's no guaranteed paycheck. That was the thing. But I mean, honestly. Yeah, but that was motivation for me, you know, I mean, right. Because then at that point, you know, your back's up against the wall and, you know, you have no choice but to get out there and cold call, you know, knock on doors, call all your friends and family, do whatever it takes. And so for me, I looked at it as kind of like motivation.
Oh, that's the perfect motivator. It really
sure
is. I like your story a lot, Brian, because I identify with it. I have a lot of the same story, especially getting into the flipping and stuff. So that's really cool. And you know, just to go off script here, this is, you know, you have incorporated all of that through your brand so perfectly, everything that you do, because you handle any form of real estate effectively that your clients are going to run into, from investment all the way to arm's length brokerage and transactions. So it's a fantastic brand. Tell the people why you decided to come into the BrandFace program.
Yeah, so I've had my license when I decided to go into BrandFace. I was coming on my third year, and I was doing pretty well. But you know what I was really suffering from is I wasn't really doing what I wanted to do. And so I listened to a podcast, a big one, Joshua Smith, and he promoted BrandFace on it. And so at that moment, I decided to look into BrandFace, who they were, who you guys were, what you offer. And from doing so, I said, man, I think they can help me identify myself and kind of brand myself. And what I wanted to do is, you know, I never wanted to be, you know, what they call in sales as an order taker, right? Meaning that when you're a new agent, you're working with anybody that's knocking on a door and has a heartbeat, that's calling you up, texting you, saying, I'll help you. And you know, I don't mind doing that at first because, you know, one, you gain experience, you know, but secondly, you know, it's producing income for you, and it's producing past clients who then can become referral partners, so on and so forth. But, you know, at age 3. Year 3, I just really decided that I wanted to identify myself as a specific type of realtor and business person. And I just felt that I needed someone to help me tell that story and brand myself to attract the audience that I wanted to do. And that's why I decided to reach out to you guys and sign up. And I'm so glad I did.
So are we.
So are we.
So are we. So, you know, that what you just described is finally kind of focusing in, saying you're going to be this type of real estate agent so you can attract this type of business is actually a scary thought process for a lot of agents.
Mm-hmm.
So was there anything coming into the program that you were afraid of?
No, not at all. Not because I've been thinking about it I literally thought about it for a year. Right. And so, because I heard about you guys a year before I actually signed up, and then finally I said, that's it. Enough's enough. I'm taking action on it, and I'm pulling the trigger, and I did. So.
That's awesome. So
That's
here's
really
a better
good.
question. Let me rephrase that question. How come it took you a whole year?
You know, it's honestly just commitment, you know, I think. And the reason I say that is, you know, if you're going to pay money, right, whether it's to educate yourself or to brand yourself, you need to make sure that you're committed to do the work to go through that. And, you know, honestly, I was just making excuses, right? I was busy, you know, I had a great year, you know, and so you just keep punting the ball, punting it, you know, and you're like, well, and then I said, and then when I was doing my business plan in November for the following year, I said, I do not want to go through 2021 the same way I went through 2020, even though financially 2020 was a success. I mean, I surpassed my goals, but I didn't want to do that again. And so that's why I took a hard stance and signed up.
Right. You didn't want to do it the same way because you find yourself working harder, not smarter, right?
Right.
That's right. Yep.
Yeah. No, it's really cool. We have. You're not the only person that's waited a year, but we hear the same story over and over again, and they're like, "We wish we'd have done this sooner. We wish we'd have done this sooner." And of course, you know, I came into the program because I met Tanya, had hired her as a marketing agent, and I wish I'd have done it. I wish I'd have met her sooner too. So like, it's really something because it changes you from being transactional to actually being sought after, and that's really the whole premise of why we do this. And so it is all wrapped around your brand, right? So tell everybody what your brand identifier is and how that fits you so well.
Yeah. So I'm an action agent, you know, and that's just me in a nutshell. I get out there and get after it. I don't sit on the sidelines. I can't stand it. I like being on the field. I don't care if I'm winning or losing. I don't care if I'm getting beat up, knocked down. I just love being out there. I love mixing it up and just, you know, going full steam ahead. That's just my mentality. And so when you guys, you know, we sat down for that initial call to go over the brand identifiers, there was a couple that I was kind of going between, but deep down inside, that was the one that I think identified mostly with me. And I think that as I promote that brand, everyone will see that, whether they for people that know me already will see it. They'll say, oh my God, that makes total sense. Or those that start working with me will then start saying, wow, yeah, that truly is who he is in a nutshell.
That's awesome.
And, you know, that's something that in every industry, you know, there are bad apples, if you will, and complainers, you know, and a lot of the complaints about real estate agents are they don't listen or they don't respond. They're not responsive. They don't take action on anything. And so if you can negate one of the biggest reasons people complain about an industry with, hey, this is exactly what I do and why it's so powerful, that's a huge deal.
Right. 100% agree.
Yep.
Yeah.
So going through the process of the program, what was the easiest part for you, Brian? And on the flip side, what was the hardest part?
You know, the hardest part was actually just getting, you know, making the time to go through the modules. You know, it's one of those things where you kind of get caught up. And I think I told you on our call after I went through the program, you know, I just designated time in the morning. You know, that's my time where there's no distractions from work, my kids, you know, nothing. I kind of get up super early, grab some coffee and fire up the academy and get through the modules. That was probably the toughest. I felt like I was falling behind, but you guys, when you told me, I went through it pretty quick. I was like, oh, really? Okay, cool. And then, and as far as the easiest part, you guys, the process that you set in place, it walked you through it. It was phenomenal. And, someone like me, I'm terrible with coming up with content. I'm terrible with the whole branding and marketing side of it. That's not one of my strengths. I mean, that's why that was the first thing I hired when I became a realtor, is I just noticed that, wow, you have to put yourself out there, and that's not something that comes naturally to me. And so when I went through this process with you guys from day one, it walks you through it, and then everyone involved in the process stays on point and tells you exactly what you need. And so you just have to go out and do it. And it was, so as far as homework, the homework was super easy because you guys made it that way. And so that was, it was a simple, I want to say you guys simplified a process that I thought was going to be more difficult than it was.
Oh, we love to hear that.
We love that. That is music to our ears, because that's what we want. We realize that we don't want it. We want as little gap between people's dreams and then realizing those dreams. And, if it takes a huge, long process, then it's sort of superfluous, right? And so we tried to take all the important parts and put them in there together. And I got to say, Brian, you did it like a champ. Like, you were serious about it. You came into it. You said, I'm going to get to this point. I'm going to finish this program fast so I can get it working for me, which is the most important thing. So it goes all the way back to you setting your goals before that and saying, I'm not taking on the next year the way I've done it before. And then you joined the program, and then you did the program. And that's so huge. It's very big.
Yeah. And, behind the scenes, what's interesting is, we look at 77 different criteria when we help someone build a personal brand. And you know how the old saying goes, I don't want to see how the sausage is made. I just want to eat it. Right. And so behind the scenes, there's all this treading underneath the surface of the water, right? Because we've built the whole system. But just because you build a system, now you've got all these individuals coming into it, which all have different strengths and different personalities and different things that make them unique. And it is a lot of work behind the scenes, but all that's on us.
How has your brand made you bolder?
Because now you're really putting yourself out there. Right. So, I'm one of those people that's a little bit more, I like being behind the scenes, but you really can't do that in real estate, or at least someone that's trying to break into it. Right. So, I'm in my third year, and, so it's helped me kind of open up more as a person, and not, be afraid, to get out there and be bold. Right. So that's kind of the main thing with me, is because I'm pretty shy for the most part, but I'm not, right? So, because I have no problem getting in front of a camera, but that's if someone's telling me to do it. Otherwise, I'd prefer just to kind of sit back and take care of business and let my work speak for itself. But that's not always good enough in real estate. Now, if I was doing it 25 years and I got a tremendous, reputation of spending, 20, 30 years in the industry, that's a different story. But someone breaking out into it, that's why you guys forcing the bold brand on someone like myself was also one of the reasons why I chose it and chose BrandFace, because I knew that was something that I wanted to do and I needed to do. And so you guys kind of just pushed me over the edge a little bit.
Good.
That is a good thing. We like stretching boundaries, and stepping out, because so much of marketing and so much of business is that constantly, right? And you are good at that part. But, we say a lot of times, like, it's hard to calculate the cost of confusion. And if marketing's not your gig, right, if branding is not your, there's something you've been working on for an entire career, it doesn't come as easy to us as other acumens of the business do. And then to recognize that you needed to place that trust in somebody else just shows how really how ahead of the game you are. And being 3 years in already, you were already building a great bank of business. You were already achieving goals, but now we're going to see that happen exponentially because you've got a brand backing it now. And you over 25 years, you could have built that brand, but who wants to wait 25 years?
Exactly.
Yeah,
Exactly. Yeah.
exactly.
And it's not exactly
Yeah.
the same way either. You know, everybody actually comes into it with a brand, right? We just don't know, like the rest of the world may not know what that is until they
Yeah.
actually get past the point where they're sitting across the table from you and then they learn more about you. But how much business do you miss on the front end because you're not capturing attention before they meet you? In other words, capturing their attention when they're comparing you to other agents that they could also choose. Which leads to the next question. Tell us how you feel that your action agent brand identifier really sets you apart from other agents in your area.
I think the main thing is that I want everyone to know that I do take action on every aspect of it. And you mentioned it earlier in this conversation, is the fact that, you know, one of the biggest complaints that people have with realtors is lack of communication or lack of response. And that's something that I take extremely seriously because, you know, coming into this and not having a tremendous amount of experience, that's something that I can set apart. I can say, yeah, that person may have 20 years experience, but good luck getting a hold of them on the weekend. And so me being extremely responsive, but also one of the things I did is, you know, within the first 6 months of becoming an agent, I just realized that my time was starting to get spread thin. And so I brought on an admin and a transaction coordinator to help with those incoming phone calls, with those emails, helping me with things because, you know, as you're out there mixing it up and on appointments and things, you can't always respond. But, you know, we live in an age right now where people want instant gratification. And so if they send you a text or a phone call, they want an answer. And so I never wanted to lose something, you know, to do that. And so, you know, I feel that that's the number one thing about being an action agent. And then I think the other thing that kind of sets me apart is I enjoy all aspects of real estate, right? So it's not just residential. You know, I enjoy commercial. That's, you know, my passion is in commercial and my passion is in investment real estate. But, you know, I understand that my clients on the commercial and investment side of it also probably have a personal home or they have friends that have a personal home. So I want them to get the same level of service through using me, you know, or a member of my team to give the whole, you know, gambit of what I call a white glove service to all my customers. So I feel, you know, that's how the action agent kind of ties everything together.
Yeah, it does. And one of the first things that you mentioned to us coming in is, hey, can I have a brand that blends all of these together, or do I have to focus on one? And I think you initially thought, gosh, I'm going to have to focus on just one of these if I'm going to have a brand. And luckily, we've been through this before, and we said, no, I don't think so. I think we can do all of this together, because that's part of the whole action plan, right? Is you have knowledge and experience in all three. Residential, commercial, and investments. And so bringing that to the forefront is actually what separates you from a lot of the pack, is because you've taken action in all three of those. Mm-hmm. So it makes a big difference.
So like Brian, you've got some experience and you've also been through the Brand Face program. You know, we figured out together how we could pull all those different genres of real estate that you are good at and deal in and try to put them under one umbrella for you. You know, there's a lot of real estate professionals out there who are afraid to put themselves out for just one of them, you know, much less several of them the way you have. What would you say to them about becoming a Brand Face?
You know, I get it. You know, some people are just very hesitant on doing it, but unfortunately we live in a time where you have to put yourself out there. Because if you're not doing it, your competition is. And, you know, and for me, it's, and not to mention some of the folks out there that are putting themselves out there, you know, big time, right? Being bold, they may not have the experience or the customer service that you do, but they're getting the business that you're not. And so, you know, if you're sitting on the fence and you're really thinking about it, you got to get over that hump. You have to get over that feeling. Because that's the one thing I was like, you know, I kind of like what I have going on. But realistically, I knew that it wasn't going to get me to where I wanted to be unless I did it. And so I tell, you know, but also I identified that I'm just not good at the stuff that you guys put together. You guys are the professionals in that, and I'm not afraid to admit it. And so therefore, you know, finding a company like yourself to really get to know who you are, who you're trying to attract, and then put everything together that you need it's turnkey. It really is. What you guys did was literally turnkey, and it was painless. I thought it was going to be this drawn out chore. It was going to this and that, but it was really, really painless and seamless. And I actually enjoyed it because it helped me dig deep to really, truly find out who I am and who I'm trying to attract. And as doing so, now it's crystal clear. And, now my sound bites and my elevator pitch, I have them rehearsed. I know it. If I meet somebody at the supermarket, if I'm doing anything, I know them. My team members know them, and so, they know what the brand identifier action agent means. And so they 100% bought in on it. My wife, my family, everybody. And when they see the new branding, they said, wow, this is exactly you. And that to me is a win all the way across the board. And so if you're on the fence, figure out a way to get off the fence, because it'll make you feel a lot better about who you are and what type of business you're trying to attract.
My favorite thing in this whole interview you just said, when you said that brand is you, because authenticity beats everything else. It has to be who you really are. And that's my favorite part of this interview.
Yeah. And I didn't want to interrupt her, but I was going to say, well, Brian, you're a doer and that's incredible. Like I just can't tell you, you are a man of action, and you take that bull by the horns. That's really the key to your future success. You've already had a great success in your life already, but there's so much more to come, and we know that. And we just appreciate having you in the program.
Oh, well, I appreciate those comments, so thank you very much. You guys have been fantastic. I still listen in on your stuff. I read the stuff because, again, it's not my strength, right? So I learn from you guys every single day, everything you put out. And so just thank you to you two, your entire staff, everyone that was behind there making the sausage, right? So I really appreciate it. It was an awesome experience. And I highly recommend it, and I'm certainly not trying to oversell something, but, it's something that I am so satisfied and so happy that I did it. And it's one of those things where I try not to regret things, but I do regret not doing it sooner. But
that's it.
That's
right.
The only kind of regret we'll accept around here.
That's exactly right.
Yeah.
Well, you're still part of the group, no doubt, and we're happy that you're a part of that group, and we'll be forever. And we'll keep learning and learning together and passing on every marketing trick and tidbit that we have in our arsenal. And we just appreciate you being a part of it. We really do.
Yes, we do.
And to the listeners out there, if you have any questions about branding, or if you have a brand, or if you're in a situation like Brian and you've been thinking about this for a year, quit thinking about it. Like, we've already made this easy. Go to discussyourbrand.com and schedule a free start session with us. We're not hard sell people. We love marketing. We love what we do. We love branding people. We love working with people like Brian. We have them all over the country. Discussyourbrand.com, and let's get started today.
Yep. And if you'd like to be in the Brand Face family with some awesome agents just like Brian, we encourage you to like what you're hearing right now, share it, and by all means subscribe. Hit that subscribe button so you can be the first to know when the next podcast premieres.
Folks, listen, we know here that it's all about the prosperity. And I say this all the time, and I always end with it. It's not prosperity just when it comes to money. It's prosperity, the 360 of the abundant life. And we know that at Brand Face, prosperity favors the bold. So we say, be bold, especially with your brand. And thank you, Brian. Thank you, Ms. Tommy.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
You bet. We'll see you next time on Be Bold Branding.